What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here for my week 17 picks and predictions. Last week we had another solid week, going 11-4 on the week. Our season total is now 161-78 on the season, which brings us to a 67.4% win rate on the season, so we're not too mad about that whatsoever. And we've got a really good slate of games this week. Obviously no teams on bye, and we got these two Christmas games to get started with. So let's get into the first one, the Chiefs at the Steelers. The Chiefs are at -2.5. I like the Chiefs to win this game. Obviously, if they do win this one, they can rest starters next week versus Denver. I know that the Steelers' defense has been good throughout the season, but I think that they've also given up quite a few points, especially to better teams like the Ravens and the Eagles in recent weeks. And then I also question in this game who Russell Wilson is going to throw the ball to, especially if George Pickens is out again. And then, you're looking at Patrick Mahomes, who I think is, looking a lot better, looking a lot healthier than a lot of us thought. He looked pretty mobile last week, so I think that that's definitely a factor. Give me the Chiefs to win this game at -2.5 on Wednesday as the first Christmas game. The second one, we go to the Ravens at Texans. The Ravens are at -4. I like the Ravens in this spot. The Ravens, to me, are the healthier side. They also had a bye, pretty recently, late in the season, week 14. And since then, the two games they've played, the Giants and the Steelers, they've dominated. They've looked really, really good. I also think the defense for the Ravens is slowly getting better. I think their secondary is slowly getting better as well. We've seen some good plays, some great performances from guys like Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Van Noy. So I think that that's impressive for the Ravens. But the Texans, I just think they're in a tough spot right now. Obviously losing Tank Dell last week, but I think they're going to have a little bit of struggles, figuring out who to throw the ball to besides Nico Collins now. But this isn't a game for the Texans that they absolutely need to win. They've already pretty much got the AFC South locked up, just because of the opponents in that division aren't that good. So, I think that they're going to put more of their focus maybe on the week following against the Tennessee Titans, and then get hot in the playoffs. I just think that this is a good spot for the Ravens to win here pretty handily, so I like the -4 in this game as well. Then we go to the Thursday night game, the Seahawks at the Bears. I'll take the Seahawks -3.5. I think that this is a good spot for the Seahawks, especially betting against the Bears. The Bears right now, this is a team that's really, really struggled, and they're going to be coming off of a short week here. It's 4 days since their the last game that they've played, so I think that that's really a factor in this game. And then this is also basically a playoff game for the Seahawks. This is either them or the Rams coming out of the NFC West. Obviously the 49ers and the Cardinals already being eliminated. So obviously you're relying on Geno Smith to win you or lose you this game, but I like Geno Smith here, especially against the Bears. I know it's in Chicago, it could be a little bit cold, but I like the weapons obviously for the Seahawks and Metcalf and Jigba, Noah Fant. I think that Geno's going to give you some production. I also think the Seahawks defense has looked better in recent weeks, especially, getting pressure on the quarterback, which is going to be, Caleb Williams' kryptonite. So moving on to that, after that game, we have the Chargers at the Patriots -5. I don't love the number on this game. I think it could be close, but I do like the Chargers to win this one straight up. Obviously the Patriots, they did look respectable last week versus the Bills. They got on top of them 14-0 early. And Drake May, he looked excellent. He's looked really good in points this season. And I think that this running game for the Patriots is kind of underrated as well with guys like Stevenson. I think that May is an underrated, runner of the rock as well. But I think that this is probably going to be one of the best defenses that the Patriots have played all season long in the Chargers. And then you got the Chargers, who are obviously going to be hungry to win this game. If they win this game, they're locked for the playoffs. They're guaranteed for a playoff spot. So I think that that's a massive deal for this Harbaugh regime, to get to the playoffs in the first year together. And then the Chargers offense has been kind of the weak link of this team. I think it's gotten better. You saw Gus Edwards run the ball pretty well last week. And then I think other guys on the offense like Stone Smart and Vidal are also stepping up. And then you've also got the standouts in McConkey and Herbert, who have been playing, lights out all season. They obviously have a really nice chemistry together as well. So give me the Chargers to win that game straight up. I just don't love the -5, especially in New England. It could be a cold game. That's a tricky place to play. We move on to the Broncos at the Bengals -3. I'll take the Bengals here -3. There is some interesting notes to this game. The Broncos have 3 days rest on the Bengals, but the Broncos, this is their second consecutive away game, while this is the Bengals' second home game in a row. So make of that what you will. I do really like the way that Joe Burrow is playing right now. I think he's probably one of the best players in the NFL right now. I think he's playing at a top 3 quarterback level right now. It's a shame that they're kind of turning it on this late into the season, but they still have a chance. They still have to win out, to give themselves a chance. And I think that they do win this game here. I think the Broncos defense can be exploited. We saw that a little bit last week versus the Chargers versus Herbert. And then you're looking at it from just a quarterback perspective. I like Burrow over Nix in this game. I know the offensive line is a little bit banged up for the Bengals, but when isn't it? And so I think that this is a game that's going to be close. Obviously, this is a tough opponent for the Bengals, but give me them to win -3 at home in a game that they must have. Then you have the Cardinals at the Rams. The Rams are at -6. The Cardinals were eliminated versus the Panthers last week. They gave everything they had. That was them giving it their all last week versus the Panthers, but it just wasn't good enough. At the end of the game in overtime, we did see them, it almost looked like they kind of gave up. They couldn't stop the run against the Panthers, against Chuba Hubbard, and it was just, a really demoralizing victory, or loss, I should say. Obviously, it's going to be, especially when it eliminates you from the playoffs, but to me, the Cardinals just look completely done. I think that it's going to be really hard for them to have any motivation to win this game versus the Rams in Los Angeles. They have no James Conner for this game, and I think the Cardinals secondary is limited, and I think that it's going to be exploited against this Rams offense. And granted, this Rams offense has been a little bit inconsistent this season. It's hard to pinpoint, but I do like them in this game in Los Angeles, in a game that they must have. So -6, I guess I'll take that number, but I don't love that number as much as some other games. We get into the Packers at the Vikings at -1.5. Vikings. I expect the Vikings to win this game at home. I think at home here, the Vikings have one of the best home field advantages in football. So you have to take that into consideration. Definitely the atmosphere for this game is going to be absolutely electric. And I think that Love is going to struggle in this game. I think he struggles against the blitz. Brian Flores shows a lot of blitz, for the Vikings. So I think that Love is going to struggle with that. I think that the Vikings are going to eliminate the run game. Josh Jacobs has been a great running back all season long, been putting up great numbers. But this Vikings defense has been great, especially against the run all season long. And I think that Darnold is going to be able to get away from the Packers here. He's been utilizing his weapons to perfection with guys like Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, obviously. So I really like the Vikings here. Darnold is just playing really good right now. The Vikings, they're tied with the Lions at 13-2, and then they're going to play them, for the NFC in Week 18. So I expect them to get the job done here versus the Packers. But this is going to be one heck of a game. So give me the Vikings -1.5. Then you have the Falcons at the Commanders. I really like the Commanders here -4. I don't trust the Falcons to stop the run or the pass. We saw Jaden Daniels have an excellent performance last week. And I think that he's, finally healthy. And I think that really is a big factor. I think that really makes a difference for Jaden Daniels. And then the Commanders defense to me is peaking at the right time too. I think that Dan Quinn is going to have an aggressive defensive plan, especially against Penix. I think Penix is going to struggle in this game. This is in Washington. This is a game that if Washington wins, they get into the playoffs. Penix, he did look good in his first professional start. I thought he looked decent, but I think that like I said, he's just going to struggle against this defense of the Commanders, with Dan Quinn here. So give me the Commanders at home -4. I really really like this one a lot. Then you have the Dolphins at the Browns. This is another one that I kind of like. The number's kind of high, -6.5 Dolphins. I just don't like what the Browns did at the quarterback position. Winston, I think, was obviously the better quarterback compared to DTR. I know Winston throws a lot of interceptions and he makes some mistakes, but to me, he's definitely a better quarterback than DTR. And I expect the Dolphins to tear up this defense. I know obviously the Browns have Myles Garrett, but he's dealing with a bad foot injury, and I don't think he's 100%. I know he did look good last week, but still. And then, obviously the Dolphins need to win out. I think that Achane needs to have another big game for the Dolphins in order for them to win this this game because weather is going to be a factor, and we've seen how weather can affect this Miami Dolphins team. This is a game that's going to be in Cleveland. It's going to be rainy. It's going to be low 40s, so that's why I emphasize Achane having a good game here like he did last week. But I do expect the Dolphins to win this game, especially if DTR is starting for the Browns here. So give me the Dolphins -6.5. Then we get into the last game of the week, the Lions at the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Give me the Lions -3.5. Obviously, this defense for the Lions is banged up. That's what everybody talks about, the timing of the injuries on defense. But offensively, they're still pretty healthy. I know they lost one of their running backs, but they still got Gibbs. They still got plenty of receivers. This is the type of team in the Lions that just outscores teams, and the 49ers defense is not all that good. So give me the Lions to win this game pretty handily. I expect them to cover the -3.5 in San Francisco. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.